the biggest challenge was when I was trying to get into sports. I did an internship, and you're taught kind of like, you do an internship, you do a great job, hopefully that turns into an opportunity with that organization. Unfortunately, in my case, it did not. And I went through the interview process and I was not selected. And they did it over the phone because they said, we know you, so there's no need for you to come in and interview. Then when I did not get the job, I asked them, what was it? What can I learn from this experience? And they said, you didn't show enough energy for the job. And maybe it did hurt you to do the interview on the phone. And I'm like, okay, I feel like you're giving me an answer just to give me an answer that is not the truth. But it also taught me that in this business, there are people that are going to get opportunities based on who they know. It's not always going to be the person that has the best credentials or has worked hardest. So that taught me a lot and has really fueled my fire, because at that point in time, I had a decision to make. Do I give up on my dream and go back to being an engineer, or do I could continue to work on this and really prove myself out? The funny thing is that it was a person at that organization in a completely different department that called me later, said, I remember you. It's a shame they didn't hire you, but I'm hiring at the MBA. Why don't you come work for me? So that to me meant a lot, right? Because there are going to be situations where relationships are going to get you, but there's going to be a lot of people out there that are really going to value your hard work and dedication. I think leveling the playing field is not about creating opportunities. It's about providing equal opportunities, equal access to information. I always talk about this with a lot of my friends. It's something that is a problem that can permeate without people realizing that it's a problem that is permeating. Because if you have an opportunity and you see a job description or for a role, what do? If you like it, you share it with your friends. Well, if you're a man, most likely a good percentage of your friends are also male. So therefore, that gives a disproportionate opportunity for men applying to that job. So that's what we're trying to talk about, is putting as many same people through the funnel, and then what comes out is different, right? So it's about not saying, I'm going to hire a woman for this role. No, it's about making sure that at the top, when they are reviewing candidates, you can do everything you can to have as many women as men entering through the process, because that's what's going to happen, right? You're always going to create an unnecessary bias because of your own experiences and the people that you know. So that's what I always love about that. It's about giving an equal chance and let that person decide for him or herself how they take it, right? Are they able to really rise up to the occasion? That to me is the big difference about leveling the playing field. I think that, we talked a lot about the importance about mentorship. I think that's something that's really important. And it's about really thinking through those spaces, those safe spaces where people can feel comfortable, potentially even failing. That's something that I know a lot of people are very always concerned. I don't want to fail, right? Like, you have to create an environment where people are comfortable, that it's okay to fail. It's okay to think outside the box, not maybe even think outside the box, break the box. That's something we talk a lot about. It's like, why do you feel like you have to do it because it was always done this way? Well, safer, right? I'm trying to protect myself in terms of having a long-term career. What we're trying to do is really make sure that we're giving the opportunity to add their own imprint into everything that they do, that they feel comfortable, that there doesn't have to be a box by which they want, and that they have the ability to really ask the questions and feel safe asking the questions that can challenge, because what exists there probably exists there because of the circumstances before it. But that doesn't mean the circumstances are the same now. I think the biggest thing is we just finished a great panel with some amazing women talking about leadership and female leadership. And I go back to that conviction. I go to that moment in time when I thought I was a shoo-in for that job because I did an internship. I was well regarded and I thought I had a lot to add to the table, and I didn't get the job. So what do you do at that point? Do you have a conviction in yourself that maybe that was not the right situation for you versus it was you that is not meant to be in that role? So that's the part that I always spend a lot of time. And a lot of people have heard me say this. I always talk about this idea of having a boxer mentality. And people look at me like, that sounds weird, like a boxer mentality. I said, look at a boxer. Usually, if you're a top level boxer, right, like a Canelo and all that, everything has already been negotiated. You know how much money you're going to win, right? What you're fighting for is the belt, but you already know the money part. And all of a sudden you get punched or you get knocked out. They don't stay on the floor, right? At the end of the day, these boxers are geared to say, let it go to decision. It's not going to be a KO. I'm going to finish the fight in my own 2 feet. And that to me is something that I always try to tell young women. Make sure that you finish the fight in your own 2 feet, because you're going to have plenty of challenges, plenty of obstacles, but you should not let that get in your way.